Here is Robert with the Beer News.
Well, thank you so much for Tito for telling us that there was no audio, but here is Robert with the Beer News. It works because that sound got through on Facebook. Guys, real quick, let's go around the horn. What are you all drinking? Starting with Nicholas. Nicholas, you're muted. You're muted, not me. You
God
are.
dang it. Keep forgetting that shit. Damn it. I'm still, well, I get a little bit left of the Goza from Modern Times. And then I cracked open a guilty pleasure, not my guilty pleasure, but my wife's favorite,
Fireball.
Miller Lite.
Nothing
now
wrong.
she's not. Now she's yelling at me. She's painting the stairs right now, and she's yelling at me because I took her beer. I gave you one of mine earlier.
You give her the 10% beer, she gives you the 3/4 session lager.
I actually gave, since I bought a 4-pack of that Modern Times of the stout. I wanted to say, hey, you want half of it? She tried it and she loved it. So, and she doesn't drink stouts often, but just goes to show their liquid is top notch.
Black House is the shit.
Top notch.
Wendy, what do you got over there?
I just finally opened the Mythic Worlds. It is a hazy galaxy IPA. It's fantastic. It's got I can read it here without my glasses. Galaxy, Matuka, Mosaic, and Sultana hops. Fantastic. I love it.
I've got Caliban cans number 3 and 4, so I am feeling good tonight. Robert, the beer news is yours. What are you drinking, and what do you got for us?
Right now, I am still finishing the PB Stout from Big Lake, and I do have another can, which whoever posted first in the chat is the one I'm going to open. Either the What It Do from Short Throw, which is an Imperial Stout with coffee and toasted coconut, or the King Sue, which is the Double India IPA, or Double IPA.
Such a good beer.
So one of those I'm going to crack open. Depends on who posts what first. But we're going to start with the news, which we're going to go into first with some bad news for a chunk of employees of Heineken, as 10% of their global workforce is going to be cut in order to gain a savings of about $2.4 billion over the next 2 years. That 10% results in about 8,000 jobs being set to be cut due to getting hit pretty hard in sales over this past year. Obviously, with the pandemic, it has continued to take no prisoners, and Bigger Beer appears to be no exception, as Heineken reported a net loss of over $240 million in 2020, which is compared to a profit of $2.7 billion in 2019. However, they are planning on doing, quote, move beyond beer, as they have seen their direct-to-consumer platforms triple in orders last year. While beer sales have slipped, Heineken has sold more non-alcoholic drinks and is looking to expand on hard seltzer and Heineken 0.0, among others. Obviously, we're seeing this stuff with some of the bigger breweries. I feel like we've gotten to this point where we've kind of gotten immune or just numb to what's been happening to the small breweries and seeing the closes and things like that. But when you see something like Big Beer starting to get those hits, and finally seeing those hits and having to do something about it, it really gets to a point where you start to kind of, I don't know, it's like, do you start to worry about the beer industry as a whole, not only just in terms of the breweries that are making the beer, but that in moving beyond beer, that they start making the NA beers and the seltzers, that beer is going to get to this point where it's going to take not only just share a seat with those other items, but take a back seat to everything else that has been coming out. I'll leave that to start with Ken on that one.
Oh, of course. I feel distribution has obviously changed within the last year, and who knows what distribution in 2022 is going to look like as things kind of, I fucking hate this phrase, but go back to normal. like for us here in Better on Draft, like we are here. We're gonna be doing Zoom for the rest of this time. We're not going back in the studio unless it's something very specific. We are going to be continuing the show the way it is, including separating the Better on Draft, the Michigan series. So I think there is a lot of change that needs to happen naturally as COVID and the world kind of resets and changes. With Heineken itself, though, they focus so much on distribution, and there aren't too many off the top of my head Heineken beers that are on draft. Mostly is bottle can sent to everyone, but I think that they're doing their best to save money. But in the same token, they're doing their best to save money to save profit for the people that are too high. The people that are in the C level that are making the money that need use air quotes, need to continue making their money. Whereas you look at something local and local distribution, you look at somewhere that's mid tier like a New Holland, um, they're still distributing. They aren't making these cuts, and that's because they're focusing on the distribution. They're focusing on the local brewery that they have and what they can do in that local area for the Knickerbocker over in Holland or the brewery out in Grand Rapids. So I just think it's a shift in the industry that won't shift back. That's my opinion.
Right. Now, I guess real quick to everyone else though is that obviously we know that Heineken owns almost said the other L brewery that I don't like, Lagunitas. Now, do you think that some of the brands that Heineken owns have anything to worry about?
Wait, what's the other L brewery?
Leinenkugel.
Oh, I'm racking my brain. Like, what brewery are you talking about that starts with an L? Completely forgot about Leinenkugel.
Now there's a whole other conversation I need to have with Rob.
Uh-oh.
All right, Barry Shandy, go ahead.
I still got the Matt Bush special cocoa shandy in that fridge right there.
Is that from the apartment?
Yeah, that's from the apartment from the
show.
Oh
my god! Come on.
That's got some age on it, but
yeah, no kidding.
I don't think there's anything more to it except it's just I mean, I lived during the restaurant crash. Like, I lost my job in the restaurant crash. So for me, like, it all makes sense as to what's going on with beer and distribution and stuff. And where you gotta save money, and where employees are just a number on a spreadsheet. That shit happens in capitalism, and it just sucks.
Yeah. Wendy, I think, did you have something on that?
Well, I was just gonna say I don't think we're ever gonna go back to normal.
No.
We're going to adjust to. We're just going to adjust, and then that's going to be. I know, and this is another phrase that I hate and a lot of people hate, the new normal. I mean, we're going to adjust, and that's what this is. That's what this whole time is it's a period of adjustments.
I can just hope that the people who are spending so much money, like, mind you, we were talking about it on the pre-show to the podcast of Modern Times, which is episode 251 if you haven't gone back and listened to it yet. Like, we were talking about how I went to go see Hobo Johnson. The amount of money I spent on beer at the Royal Oak Music Theater for, like, White Claws and, like, low quality whiskey sours and shit. Like, the things I could take that exact amount of money and spend it at home, I could make things so much better to where my liquor cabinet has definitely grown a lot since COVID. And it's not for the fact that we're home as much, it's for the fact that I'm spending more money to drink at home, as Nick's on the video saying himself. Like,
well, mine too, but mine's for a different reason, because people have been buying me liquor as a housewarming gift.
Not a baby warming gift or
Oh, I've been getting those too. We've been getting those, but when Tara and I first moved in, obviously during COVID, we were very
I was gonna
selectful
say
as to.
I didn't get any housewarming alcohol gifts. Friends, those of you who are listening to this show, damn it.
Next time I come over to Ipsy, I'll be sure to get you one. I feel bad, but people were bringing me bottles of Coppercraft. Someone got me a bottle of Crown Reserve. I've had people give me bottles of wine during all this. So
See,
talking about blowing money on liquor. Never mind the beer. Well,
my
the
problem.
Modern
is,
Times beer was the first time I bought beer in probably several months. Let me make that clear first.
Well, you got some parish beer coming to you here soon. My
Sunday.
my
Yep.
issue is that we purchase better alcohol and craft alcohol and local, and we can move this into beer too, but we purchase more local because we have that money to spend. We're not going to Pine Knob and spending $40-$50 on beer. We're spending it at home. And when we have that decision because of the people that we are, we're spending it a lot smarter, a lot more ideal to, okay, well, if I'm going to spend $50 for 4 beers at Pine Knob, well, now I have $50. I'm going to go buy a big
Buy a
pack of
case.
a bright white over at Zatuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, just south of M59 on Rochester Road. Or, oh, now that I'm not going to Pine Knob, you know what? Let me go to North Center Brewing over in Northville, Michigan, just south of Baseline Road over on North Center Road.
I'll just say this: I miss going to Pine Knob and spending $50 on beer right now. I just miss that stuff. I mean, we're going on now almost a year of
But
lockdown.
here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you, and you guys, I will open it up to you guys, and I'll start with Wendy first. I think that after all of this COVID shit, and we go back and we go see Matchbox 20 live over at Pine Knob, we're going to spend more money on the pregame and the parking lot than we do inside Pine Knob because we have truly understood the difference between concert prices, which we've grown to accept, and non-concert prices because they don't exist anymore.
I would agree with that because
I posted it to Wendy.
Oh, go ahead, Wendy. Go first.
It's all right. So I totally agree with that 100%. I remember standing in line, a crazy long line, because you could only get craft beer at one place in Pine Knob. Well,
It's
is
the
it
stand to the
driving you nuts
right.
that we keep calling it Pine Knob, Nick?
Yeah, I know. I might work for the company. We just have the naming rights to that fucking place. It's always gonna be Pine Knob to me. So.
There was only one place you could get craft beer, and we're paying $14 for an 8-ounce glass, as opposed to the $12 for a 16-ounce glass of Bud Light. And my friends thought it was hilarious that I would stand in line to do that. I don't know that I would do that anymore.
Yeah, no, that's.
I really
don't know. I agree with Ken that the pregame is probably going to be where it's at. Me personally, I think it's just part of the experience at that point. And I think now that we've been cooped up here for now going on 12 months, we're in February. This started in March of last year. I think for some, the experience is still going to be you go to a concert, whether it's Pine Knob or Meadowbrook, which is another smaller venue similar to Pine Knob for all those of you who are not familiar with Southeastern Michigan, or if you're really not familiar with Southeastern Michigan, Freedom Hill in Sterling Heights, another,
I hear what you're saying, and I think the social aspect, people are going to want more intimate social aspect than a public social aspect.
And Ken, that very well might be the case. I would not. There might be a group of people. I don't know what percentage that could be. They just might want just what you just said. But there are going to be There are going to be people that want that social aspect, and I know that part. Well, I don't think that part is going to go away. It might not be as many people, but I don't think that's going to go away. There's going to be some people that still want to stand in line, with everybody else.
I
Pay
just
$12 for a
I
beer,
just think within the craft beer industry, mind
like
you, I have met plenty of
like
people
Miller
within
Lite.
like I have met plenty of people within the craft beer industry to where if when I was living in Detroit, I could walk into Eastern Market and I knew where those people were and
Yeah,
tailgating and having fun and hanging out and drinking because they'll go and they'll spend the craft beer prices at Ford Field, but they're not going to spend that anymore now that it's available in the pregame. I think a lot of people are going to focus on the pregame, and I know we're going way far away from the whole
I,
Heineken laying off
yeah,
people, but
you know
I
what?
think
It's good conversation. Who cares?
well,
I,
I think it's going to remove from people who are buying Heineken during these pre games too, who are buying the Dirty 30s, who are buying these beers because they're like, shit, we could just buy really good beer outside of the stadium and then just go drink shit inside.
Hmm.
You're not gonna get the deal. Like I can't tell you how many times, and I am pretty sure this was during Better on Draft Times where I went to the rave tent at JLA and I'm paying $8 for a pint of Unibrew Le Fin de Monde. Like
yeah,
that stuff's over. Like you're paying a high price for M43 at Ford Field or KBS at um what's that fuck Comerica Park.
right.
Um
$20
yeah, you're just gonna
for a
be like
4-ounce pour.
you're
It's
almost
crazy.
you're literally almost better off leaving, going to a local bar in Detroit, buying KBS, coming back, buying a bleacher seat for $10 and saving money that way.
So that actually brings up another point when it comes to concerts. So, um, I'm a little older than a couple of you, and I realized before the COVID thing even happened that I am too old to sit on the hill. I need a seat. I want to be underneath the awning where if it's raining, it's not pouring down on me. I I'm not paying the lawn seats anymore. I would rather pay more for a ticket and drink crap beer while I'm there and just enjoy being at the concert than spending my time in the mud.
Well, that honest to God valid point, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we talked about it during, I believe we talked about it during the last podcast on the Modern Times podcast, which was recorded earlier tonight. But I had tickets to go see Underworld at movement in Detroit. But for me, being older and because for some reason Memorial Day weekend just happens to always be balls hot and sunny and stupid, I'm like, hey, let's just buy VIP tickets so that we can go there the entire day. We can leave and come back when we want. We can go get um, uh, like we can go sit down when we want. We can go get cheaper beer when we want. Sure, the cheaper beer doesn't cost as much as the ticket for the VIP, but I think you saying you're buying the ticket in Pine Knob to go under the um what's that? The
Awning,
ceiling
the
awning? Yeah.
pavilion.
Like I think a lot of people have no problem doing that already, but when we're referring to those of us who are drinking, like who are going to the shows, like the show is a secondary part of the event. Um, and I think a lot of people drink a lot more in the like that's what I think we're seeing with these people is just that the show is the secondary part of the event. They want to get up, they want to sing, a cheeseburger in paradise or
Right.
whatever
Well,
Jimmy Buffett's singing.
and I think pretty much it's just for like for those of the people who are going to show up in these concerts, especially if you're going to Matchbox 20. I'm pretty sure that if you're getting drunk beforehand, regardless of whether or not it's 3 a.m., you will not be lonely. But I was going to go into the next thing that was in here, which I'm usually not one who talks about anything from TikTok, but I feel like this one needs to be brought up because
We
people
have
are kind of
like 18 teenage daughters.
right. So there's this thing that's kind of taken off called the tens unit beer challenge. Now, TENS, TENS. It's an initialism that stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. These things are used to help people dealing with pain by delivering small electrical impulses. I have an example of some of the pads that you stick on your person right here, which these are delivered through electrodes that are attached to these pads that attach to your skin where there is pain, and it sends those electronic pulses, which can cause muscles to twitch, which that apparently is where the fun begins with this challenge. So basically with the challenge, you're supposed to stick these pads on your arm and attempt to drink a beer. Now, much like Calvin Johnson catch, you have to go through the entire process. Hold on a second, because now my internet's a little unstable. Hopefully everything's going through. Okay.
We hear you.
So basically you have to go through the whole process from picking up. Is it better?
Yep.
It was unstable for a second there.
We got you.
Okay. So basically you have to go through the whole process from picking up the beer to bringing it to your mouth. And players take turns in rounds, increasing the power of the electrodes that are going through your arm. I'm going to go through the whole jackass disclaimer with this. This shit is fucking dangerous.
Does that mean you're gonna do it?
No, because
Damn
I don't. No,
I was hoping you'd do a live demonstration on the air.
I am not
You
doing
you can't tease us with it and then not
Come
do
on,
it.
dude.
Isn't the equipment to get the shock delivered kind of
That's the thing, is that
expensive?
these are just the electrode, the pads that go on. I meant to grab the equipment in the break and I forgot to get it and I didn't know where it was, but the ones that Dean and I have are wireless, so you could just stick those suckers on and run it that way. But I just basically want to say that this really, I don't understand it. Maybe it's just one of those old folk things that it's just like, I don't understand these kids are doing. We're busy going through these situations where people are sticking Gorilla Glue where it's not supposed to go, to going all the way back to the cinnamon challenge where people have died from like eating a tablespoon of that shit. I mean, there are warnings that this stuff can cause death because there's just so much of an electric shock that you get in your body. But it's on TikTok. People are going to do it. To you guys, could this become? I mean, because the thing is that with beer pong, you drink beer to win a game to drink beer. So does something like this become maybe the next beer pong? Because you got to drink anyway.
I mean, I feel like it's definitely something that might come in a maybe a Greek rush, Nick.
What are you talking about?
I have never been part of a fraternity legally.
And we don't do anything illegal, or we don't
Have
do
you
anything
been a
illegal.
part of a fraternity illegally?
I've never been part of a fraternity illegally, but Nick, I
Never been
wouldn't
part
say.
of a fraternity, period.
Yeah, that's true. But I wouldn't say you guys do not anything illegally.
Well,
Epsilon, Beta, Theta, Tau.
Well, let me just say that I think a lot of those days are probably over. Let me put it that way. Pussies.
I think I just
Wendy.
it seems like something that would be very harmless.
We don't. Yeah, that's
Like if you could control it and it's just like, oh hey, I'm gonna do it in front of my friends because that's something I'd probably do in front of my friends. Sure, but I don't see it being the next beer pong. Like it ain't gonna be the next beer game.
no.
You don't know what this feels like.
Honestly, it might be the next. Hey, I'm gonna like. For the guy who, a lot of us have watched Letterkenny and, who's the toughest guy in Letterkenny, like, who's the best beer drinker of the party, that might be the next, like, level of I'm going to test you on beer drinking if you can drink while you're getting tensed up.
Like if you can pass Edward 40 hands, then this is your next level type thing.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I've done 40 ounce chugs. I've done Edward 40 hands. Like I've done all that stuff in parties because I have been known as just the beer drinker because I drink you know, the people that I were hanging out when I was 16, 17, and he's not here on the show tonight, but he could attest to it. Um,
Uh,
I was drinking Boombas and pitchers with them before, like on a school night. That's not a fucking brag. That's a terrible thing to have done. Um, but in the same sense, when people would come up and they would, be like, "Oh, I'm gonna out chug you," almost like a beer fest, the movie Beer Fest.
uh,
Like everyone would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to out drink Ken," and then they come up and I out drink them. I'm like, "Shit, well now my beer's gone." Because this dude wanted to test me on chugging, and now I gotta go get another beer. Like, those are the kinds of things where I think that might lower things down to where I wouldn't have to drink as much. But I mean, it seems like a party trick more than anything.
yeah, well, I guess we'll see where it goes, and I'm sure it'll be more posts that'll be popping up. But I want to go through one more real quick.
One more real quick.
All right, so we've talked about this guy before from Cincinnati, he is at it again because 2 years ago, Dell Hall made news as he went on a beer-only diet for Lent, which resulted him in losing 40 pounds. After that, he gained about 20 back. Last year, he did it again and lost about 50 pounds. He did go about 4 days over past Easter. But he also raised $10,000 for charity. His plan is to do this for year number 3. He is planning on hopefully losing, or he wants to lose 40 pounds, but he wants to go even farther with raising $50,000 for charity this time around. Now, Hall, this thing I did not know from the last previous years, at least I didn't see it in the articles, that Hall is an Army veteran and he's now co-owner of 16 Lots Brewing Company in Mason, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cincinnati. And actually, for his beer world, he has progressed year from year because I believe the first year he was driving a delivery truck, and then last year he was working for a distributor and a different distributor, and then now this year he is owning a co-owning a brewery. Um, so he's looking to raise his money, and he wants the money to go to the service workers of Southern Ohio and Northern Kentucky. Obviously, with the drinking with Lent for those who do that whole Catholic thing. I think that's Catholic. I don't religion. I'm sorry.
It's not. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, the drinking basically is going to start on Ash Wednesday, which is this coming Wednesday on February 17th, and it will be his only intake for 46 days until Easter on April 4th. If anyone out there is interested in following his journey, he is on Instagram at Sergeant Dell, to short. That's SGTDEL. So Sierra Golf Tango Delta Echo Lima. If you'd like to donate, he does have a GoFundMe link, which is on the bio on his Instagram page. So if you are interested, go ahead and check it out and watch his journey to do that. Now, we've talked in the past about whether or not we think we could make it in like the whole time. But I think in needing the caloric intake on a daily basis, I guess for y'all, how many days do you think you'd make it before you would quit or cheat?
2.
Nick, you're on that one first.
Probably not very long. I don't think I could do that. I give this guy all the credit in the world for being able to do that. I'd probably go a couple days at most.
I've done fasting, and like obviously, and Dan, this would be a perfect conversation for Dan because Dan is very, very intelligent in the nutrition space. But I feel like I could probably get 2.5 days, and I'd be like, I'm too hungry. Because the problem is that there's not only a level of beer that you need to take, but you need to take it properly and accordingly. And he's definitely done a lot of research on what beer to drink, the calories you're intaking, what kind. Like his metrics is probably fucking ridiculous. Like if he sent us the metrics that he was um, drinking, it would be probably way too expansive for us to understand on a metrics level of drinking or eating, I should say. Um, like for me, I two and a half days is probably max I could pull off. Um, there's no way I could do 40.
Hey,
When
Wendy.
Um, I'm just gonna say that I recently started seeing a dietitian, and Justin, and since I told her about the podcast, just in case she's listening, I can tell you she would not be okay with me doing that at all. So I would never do it. I think I could probably get about 5 days in before I was ready to gnaw my arm off.
I and he plans it very very well, but for me like my whole goal in 2021 is to exercise more than I drink. So if I drink, I'm gonna exercise. Like I've got, and for those of you who are watching the video, of course, youtube.com/better on draft, twitch.tv/bod podcast, facebook.com/better on draft. And I'm gonna make sure when I do this, you can actually see I've got a bicycle
Oh, you got
that
one. That's
Hmm,
sweet.
I
Oh
need
my
one of
gosh.
those
that I ride
because
on
my
while I'm not bored, but while I'm working and I'm thinking or I'm typing up an email and I don't know what to say, and I just kind of write it to write it. But that's one of the things that I'm trying to do a little bit better is to be a little bit more healthier with my drinking. With the beer, we've got Modern Times who came on, so obviously I'm drinking Modern Times, but trying to do my
make
best,
healthier
but
choices.
make healthier choices. But drinking beer and only beer, that's not something I could commit to. I'd be too busy looking in my refrigerator. Like I would have to fully eliminate all the food in my house to do it. And at that point
Right.
I can't even like promise that I wouldn't run to Speedway or Leo's Coney
All of a
to
sudden, that
Hey,
broccoli looks really good.
See, and that's the problem is that I'm one of six in the house. Everybody else has to eat. I don't think I'd be able to be just look at food and just like, all right, I guess I better grab this. Just grab this freaking lager here. That's lunch, and just like go through that. I don't think I could do that for that long a time. I might make it. I feel like I might make it like 6 days. Maybe I could pull a week, but I just there's I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't think I could do it. No way. Oh,
all all right. Well, if nobody else had anything else, that's gonna do it for Better on Draft podcast, the news, February 12th, 2021. We appreciate you listening. If you are still listening, or if you're listening to the podcast, obviously go check out our Instagram.tv, or you could listen to it live as it happens after the news segment on Facebook.com/Better on Draft Friday nights. We got the King of the Hill coming up. Who was last week's champion? I don't even remember. Wendy. Wendy says no.
No, I was the week before.
yeah,
Wendy was the week before.
got it back.
Robert was last week's champion.
Mhm. All right.
So that's gonna do it. Better on Draft podcast. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Thanks, Tito. Peace.